He's got a badge and he's got a sword. He'll break your heart, then he'll break a board. So when an evil ninja comes for you, remember reading is the real ninjutsu. Karate Tolstoy! Kia!
Wrecked him. Barely even knew him.
Barely even forced him to commit seppuku.
Yeah, didn't even disembowel him. Yeah. Hi, everybody. Welcome to episode 3 of Karate Tolstoy, where we read through Andy Shep's classic, The Martial Arts Murders.
Greatest book ever written.
Yes, the greatest book of 3, because it's a trilogy.
It's a trilogy. It's the Martial Arts Murders trilogy.
Who'd think you'd get away with that many murders?
Followed by 2 separate books that are unrelated to the Martial Arts Murders trilogy, Time Ninja, the Time Ninja series. And he wrote a book called Death Cruise, and then he wrote a short story horror compilation, which I think is just like a grammar book.
Yeah. Just a grammar book. Yeah. I'm Ed Chatterton, and this is Brett Emerson over there.
Hi.
Last episode, give us a recap.
We did chapters 1 and 2 last episode, and they found a body that was murdered to shit with nunchaku. Do not call it nunchucks.
Or numbchucks.
Numbchucks.
I'm sure we don't call it numbchucks.
Or you will be corrected.
Yeah.
They found a body that was murdered by nunchaku. I almost said it.
You almost did.
And then they were talking about the 3 murders that happened before that, where someone got it with a bow staff.
That was murder number 1.
Someone got piñataed to death with a bow staff, and apparently they tried to make it look like this lady committed seppuku, which is ritualistic samurai, disembowel yourself, then cut your head off. But they forgot to disembowel her, so it was just a regular old katana beheading.
Yeah.
Like you do. And then someone got throwing starred to death. And that's where we are. And the guy from New York came down with a pickup truck, which seems like not a very New York vehicle.
Right. Especially after just being transferred.
Yeah, Detective Mark Anderson from New York.
I'm from New York, Day.
Yeah. So now we're going to learn more about this martial arts death world that
these grisly ninja murders.
Ninja fucking murders.
Chapter 3, Detective Mark Anderson. After driving for roughly 5 minutes, Mike pulled the car over, put the car into park, and shut off the engine. At least he did it in that
steps.
order. Yeah. It's like stop, drop, and roll.
Very, very detailed.
You don't roll, drop, then stop,
Yeah, you could have just said he stopped the car.
Yeah.
But, you got to make sure your audience understands
exactly how a vehicle works.
Exactly what is happening in every scene.
The most detail. What are we doing here? Mark asked without a question mark, looking at the signs of... And in case you're just jumping in now into episode 3, which would be weird, there's punctuation and grammar issues all over the place in this, so I sometimes throw in little tidbits as I'm reading.
Yeah.
So, yeah. What are we doing here? Mark asked, looking at the signs of the several businesses that lined the street. You don't want any donuts? Mike asked, again without a question mark. Mark looked at the trendy marquee above the donut and coffee shop and said, "You're messing with me, right?" Mike shook his head and said, "We're detectives. We have to start our day with coffee and donuts." Dude, okay.
How are we going to fight ninjas if we're not geeked up on fucking donut speed?
Mark smiled and replied, "That's why I thought you were messing with me. Get me a chocolate cake donut and decaf coffee with cream." He sighed. "Give me a chocolate cake donut and decaf coffee with cream."
With cream.
He sighed after handing Mike $5. Bro, where are they living in LA that's only $5 for a fucking decaf coffee with cream and a chocolate cake donut?
In the mid-2000s.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Even still, though, it's still like $10 for a...
The poor kid's not getting a tip.
Yeah.
Mike returned 5 minutes later with change! With change! Whoa, and their donuts in a bag with their coffee in a styrofoam container. Okay.
It's a place called Tae-Kwon-Donuts.
Yeah, Tae-Kwon-Donuts.
Because that is...
Tae-Kwon-Donuts, okay.
Yeah.
I have to write that down. Yeah, there we go. He sipped his coffee. Oh, wait. Mike ate his donut quickly, started the car, and pulled away. He sipped his coffee at red lights, as did Mark. Copycat.
We don't sip while we're driving, thank you.
That's right. Safety first. So, Mike began, I only heard part of the story about why you transferred out here. Do you mind filling me in? Mark looked down at his coffee lid and murmured, It's a long story. Wait, murmured. It's a long story.
It's a long story. It's like a New York murmur is
you know,
still a little loud.
Yeah. Hey, it's a long story.
I'm murmuring here.
Mike shrugged and said, well, the martial arts studio I have in mind is kind of a long drive. Plus, you're my new partner, so I don't mind.
I mean, it's L.A., so a long drive is like 5 blocks.
Yeah.
You're just like, and it still takes 40 minutes.
Mark Anderson was 29 years old, 5'9", 170 pounds. Dude, the tiniest person ever. With dark hair and was fairly built. Not as built as Mike, however.
No.
He did have a slight New York accent, so I do need to read into it whenever I can tell that it's him talking. That did not stick out like a sore thumb. Oh, okay. But it could be discerned after talking with him for just a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
Mark took a sip of coffee, then a deep breath and said, okay, after I want to go Chicago. After I graduated from college, my best friend and I entered the academy together. He was actually my best friend since high school, since he was even my best man at my wedding. Okay. Mike jumped in. They never told me you were married, Mark replied. Well, divorced, actually. Hey, gabagoo.
But it's you have to say gabagool chaku.
Yeah. It's gabagool chaku. Thank you. You're kind of young to be you're kind of young to be divorced. What happened there? Right? Because he said, well, divorced, actually. Yeah. Mark said, I'll get to that, too. Whatever. He sighed and continued. My friend and I both graduated with degrees in criminal justice and crime scene investigation. We both graduated the Academy of Honors at the NYPD, and the NYPD almost hired us almost right on the spot. Isn't that how it works? Mm-hmm. You graduated with okay. We were such good friends and such a great team that the NYPD didn't want to split us up, so they made us partners on homicide. Our first year, we solved 3 cases in the DA's office.
You're really getting that accent together. It's working pretty well.
And put all 3 pieces of shit in prison. They deserved worse, but they had good lawyers, of course, because it's New York. We got the good lawyers. That's what we have there. We got pizza and lawyers. The good news is none of them will ever get out. Mike said, sometimes it's not good to get the death penalty. What? Sometimes it's good not to get the death penalty.
I mean, generally, it's good not to. Like, if I'm going about my day, I'm like, I sure hope I don't get the fucking death penalty today.
Sometimes it's good to not get the death penalty.
It's generally a positive. Unless you're ready to check out, then it might be good to get that death penalty.
Oh, here's why. With some of the prisons we have out here and you had in New York, living is almost worse than death. Well, there you go.
Okay, fucking Kafka, settle down.
Yeah, Mark replied.
I'm a cockroach now. I wish I had the death penalty, but they don't have the death penalty in this roach motel. Motherfuck.
Yeah, Mark replied. Tell me about it. One of the guys we put away used to get himself in trouble on purpose just to get himself thrown into the... Wait, did I go... Yeah, I get lost. What? He used to get himself into trouble on purpose just to get himself thrown into the hole and get away from the general population.
Honestly, that's what I would do.
Yeah, right?
I don't like people.
Yeah.
Like, even if everyone was very nice in jail, I'd still be like, I need fucking solitary.
After the 3rd time, they moved him to a different cell block. I don't feel the least bit sorry for that son of a bitch, though, after what he did to his ex-wife. Ooh, Mike replied, after last night, no details, please. I heard about your 3 cases anyway. What? Mark kind of grinned. Yeah, I hear you there. Ooh, I'll tell you about the cases some other time. Anyway, one night my wife forgot to set the alarm, so I had to scramble out of bed in the morning, got dressed, wolfed down some toast and milk, gave my wife a quick gabagoosh, peck on the cheek, and ran out the door.
He did not write gabagoosh. That's an Ed.
That's an Ed. On my way to the station, I turned my car radio on, and they just mentioned that the first plane had hit the North Tower of the World Trade Center. Here we go. We're getting into it.
All right, I'm not going to tell you about my cases, but I will tell you about the darkest day in American history, which is somehow less worse than the 3 cases I had.
Also, the next sentence confirms that Detective Michael Dart's maybe not the sharpest dart in the
dartboard,
in the quiver.
Yeah,
sharpest dart in the quiver. Yeah, he goes, and they just mentioned that the first plane had hit the North Tower of the World Trade Center. Mike was startled and gasped, 9/11?
Nah, it was a different 9/11.
Dude, they put a question mark in that one, too, by the way. 9/11? No! What are you thinking?
I mean, it was so dumb. They wanted it to look like a seppuku, but they didn't disembowel the North Tower first before they decapitated it.
Mark nodded. 9/11.
9/11?
You fucking, He finished his coffee as Mike pulled the car over and parked it by the first available curb.
But I'm not telling you about my fucking detective cases.
By the curb. What? Okay. Mark continued. My partner left immediately without me to help as many people as he could. When he got there, he went up into the south tower just after it was hit. When the tower came down, he was still inside. Mike said, Jesus, man, I'm so sorry. I didn't know. That was a Kirk. It was a Shatner. It was a little Shatner sentence. Yeah.
I'm Michael Darts.
Mark just stared straight ahead out of the windshield. Okay. That's okay, he began again. Like you said, we're partners. You need to know this anyway, so I might as well just get it off my chests.
But don't ask me about my fucking work history.
After a deep breath, he kept going. If I hadn't been late that morning, Justin would still be alive. I would have stopped him. Mike interrupted. You don't know. Well, huh?
That's not how that works. You would also die.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I'm hoping that Mike has some clarity on that for him. Mike interrupted. You don't know that. He might have talked you into going with him, or maybe even into going to the tower with him.
Hey, Mark.
Hold on.
Mark, let's go do our jobs.
Hold on. I'm reading the sentence again, and I'm reading it as it's written.
All right.
He might have talked you into going with him, or maybe even into going into the tower with him, in which case you'd both be dead.
Hey, Mark. Come in the tower with me. Let's go in it sounds weird. He talked me into going into the tower with him. Like it's some sort of groom. I've groomed you to be a detective your whole life, and now finally the payoff. You're gonna go in that tower with me. Oh shit! 9/11.
Yeah.
Didn't count on that.
And he says he might have talked you into going with him, or maybe even to going into the tower with him. Those are the same thing. In which case you'd both be dead. You can't blame yourself. Yeah, Mark replied. And my wife blamed herself for forgetting to set the goddamn alarm clock. Mike was at a loss for words. He wanted to hear the rest, but he also didn't want to push either. He started this, so he figured maybe he should call a timeout. TV timeout, 60 seconds. Maybe we should finish this later. Shaking his head, Mark said, I might as well finish the story, you goon. Mike, he didn't say goon. Mike closed his eyes. Mike's driving. Oh, no, he pulled up to the curb.
Yeah.
To the first available.
Yeah, you think Michael Darts is going to...
Right.
All right. If he did, he would be activating his sensei powers, and he probably could drive. Have you seen that Rutger Hauer movie?
Yeah.
Blind Fury. He drives while blind. I'm pretty sure if Rutger Hauer can do it, so Michael Darts can do it 5 times as hard.
Yeah, he can. But he found the closest available curb, so we know that they're parked. They're just sitting. Mike closed his eyes and said, I feel like an asshole for asking about it and digging all this up. Don't feel bad. You had no way of knowing if Vickers didn't mention it, Mark said. The department was great. They offered me all kinds of counseling and sick leave. You name it, they offered it.
They didn't pay for my asbestos lung, but...
Ha, the old asbestos lung. What a great joke. Okay, we're still reading. Where were we? Yeah. Rachel and I... Okay, there it is. The department was great. They offered me all kinds of counseling and sick leave. You name it, they offered it. In the end, though, Rachel and I couldn't stop arguing over whose fault it was. It was my fault that I wasn't there. She felt it was her fault for forgetting to set the alarm the night before. I blame myself for not checking to see that she set the alarm. That's just a lot of alarm.
She's mad. She's mad that her husband didn't die.
Yes, correct. Rachel even got angry with me for not wanting to be there to stop Justin from going. She kept on crying. If you had been there, you would have gone too, and I'd be one of those widows you see on TV news stations, bawling her eyes out with mascara running down her face and huge bags under her eyes from night after night of little or no sleep. I couldn't stand the arguing anymore, so we divorced. Yeah. Just like that.
Yep.
And I put in for the transfer. Whoops. The shrink at the NYPD told me to transfer to Jersey. He said anything farther away would be running. He agreed that the transfer and change of scenery was a good idea, but he felt that if I went too far away, it would be similar to running from what happened, and I would never, just literally said the same thing twice, be running from what happened, and I would never come to terms with it. Anyway.
So I ran.
Yeah, anyway, so I ran. This isn't really the problem. I just made a solemn promise to myself that I would never not be there for my partner again, except for the one I divorced.
Yeah.
Right?
My domestic partner.
You have to stop blaming yourself, Mike replied. It's not your fault. If you need to blame someone, blame those wackos with an H, who hijacked the planes. 2 words, hijacked, by the way, not 1 word.
I mean, it is high up, so.
Yeah, and they were probably strong.
Yeah.
They had to have been. Yeah. So they were a little jacked. Yeah. Mike added, just promise me that you're going to stop blaming yourself. Boy, it's a lot of blaming yourself. He put a firm hand on Mark's shoulder. Ooh, we're getting into it. And gave it a friendly shake. You got that, man? Yeah, Mark replied.
Yeah.
One thing my shrink at the NYPD was right about, I'll tell you. It helps a little bit each time when I tell the story. He looked at Mike and said, thanks, partner. With a smile, Mike replied, hey, like I said, that's what a partner is for. Cue the Bette Midler song. Oh, wait, no.
Diane Warren?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
That's what friends are for. I'm pretty sure it's Diane Warren.
It's not Diane. It's not Gladys Knight. It's the other one.
Diana Ross?
No, the third one.
The Pointer Sisters?
Yeah, that's 3 of them. You just named 3 of them all at once. That's not right. With a smile, Mike replied, hey, like I said, hey, that's what a partner's for. Mike started the car again and pulled away from the curb. End of chapter 3.
Jesus.
Oh, shit.
That was a pretty heavy, very dramatic.
My favorite part of that was 9/11 question mark.
9/11?
No, the other bombing. The other time a World Trade Center got attacked by a thing. All right.
I was in Oklahoma City the day it happened. When Seattle lost its basketball team?
Yeah. All right. We're into chapter 4 already. We're making good time. Chapter 4, a suspicious sensei. Yeah.
Sexy.
Mm-hmm. After about another 15-minute drive, Mike pulled the car over next to a single-story building on the corner lot of an affluent neighborhood. It means well-to-rich, right?
Yeah, I mean, in L.A., it's kind of just can't afford a house.
Well, there was a country club across the street and several nice restaurants down the block, is what Andy Shep has to say about it. From the street, they could see several nice homes along the nearby hillside. As Mike pulled the car over, he said, when we go inside, we have to bow to the American flag, which should be in plain sight. We also need to remove our shoes and socks at the door before stepping into the training area. Mark looked at Mike and said, are you serious? Mike... I'm liking it. Mike replied, as serious as coffee and donuts.
Wow, that's quite serious.
Well, Mark smiled and said sarcastically, that's pretty serious.
Jesus.
After walking in, bowing, and removing their shoes and socks, they sat down in a sofa at the back of the room. Oh, it's the casting call. They're doing a casting call. Huh?
You know, it's the traditional karate couch. You bow to the flag, you sit on the couch for a while.
And then you get bow-staffed.
And you get bow-staffed to death in all of your chests.
In all of your chests. Mike noticed a huge trophy case, kitty corner.
Is it spelled weird?
Kiddy, like multiple, like something that would be something a child would do would be. Oh, he's being kitty.
Yeah, like it's close.
Yeah, you know, kitty corner from where they were sitting. The case was full of large trophies, some from major tournaments, including 2 of the 3 tournaments that comprise karate's Triple Crown. Oh, I didn't realize there were crowns in the karate kingdom. The case also contains several military medals and pictures of a man in a martial arts gi, in quotes, as well as a Navy SEALs uniform. Under each picture, an engraved inscription read,
Sir Steven Seagal.
Wouldn't that be so, dude, if only. Unfortunately, it's just Sensei David Styles.
Okay, all right.
Is this the David Styles from Teen Wolf lore?
I would hope so.
Yeah.
I mean he had 2 good names in him so far.
Yeah.
Michael Darts, David Styles.
Sensei, but it's Sensei Styles.
Sensei Styles.
CSI Carson.
Good. Yeah.
CSI Carson, Sensei Styles.
Yep.
Lieutenant Victor, something or other?
Vickers.
Yeah, which is a Vicka is just, isn't that a lieutenant in the...
No, it's like a priest.
It is a priest, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
And then Mark Anderson.
Mark fill in blank. A class was in session. Mike identified Sensei Styles at the front of the room.
Because he had a hot pink karate gi and a headband that went down to his ass.
Watching a student practicing a weapon form with the nunchakus. Boy, he's going to love these. Sensei
Hey, kid, are you a murderer?
Sensei Styles was also critiquing the students' stances and techniques. Mike surmised it must have been a black belt only workout. Mike surmised it must have been a black belt only workout.
From the fact that the child was wearing a black belt.
Yeah, as the class consisted of only black belts.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
There you
you
go.
literally just said that. Yeah. You know how to write, man. Dude, yeah.
You know, his eyes weren't taken out by shurikens yet, so
Yeah.
they still work.
The 20-something man who was in the middle of the practice area working with the nunchakus and 3 other students sitting on their knees and heels off to the side watching. Okay. The onlookers consisted of 2 men and a woman. Each had a weapon either in front of them or off to the side. The 2 men each had a pair of sais, and the woman had a bow staff lying in front of her.
Uh-oh, she might be it.
Giggity. Mark gave Mike a nudge and whispered, "Hey, I think that blonde's staring at you." Mike gave the woman sitting off to the side a glance to confirm, is this the girl from the end? Oh, I can't wait. That's what I liked reading the last 2 pages. It's perfect. Mike gave the woman sitting off to the side a glance to confirm that she was staring at him. She had long blonde hair pulled back in a ponytail, brown eyes, about 5'3", petite, mid to late 20s, and very attractive. Sensei Styles was giving a critique to the... It just sounds like an 80s band, a Euro pop band, you know?
Sensei Styles.
Sensei Styles was giving a critique to the black belt who had just performed his nunchaku's form, and after dismissing him off to the side with a mutual bow...
While screaming, it's pronounced nunchuck. Yeah. Sensei Styles calls it nunchucks.
And after dismissing him off to the side with a mutual bow, he said, "Miss Turner?" Kathleen Turner walks into the building. No. "Hello. Hi, I'm here. I'm here for the karate.
I'm here to audition for Jessica Rabbit.
I'm here for the karate. Can I, I'm Kathleen Turner."
I'm a serial mom. That might come into play.
That's right. Yep. "I'll romance you, Stone." The blonde grabbed her bow staff, jumped up, and yelled, "Yes, Sensei." Obedient. She hurried to the middle of the practice area with her bow staff. "Say bow staff more times in this paragraph, please." She stood with her feet together and the staff in her right hand next to her with one tip flat on the floor. She bowed to Sensei Styles, gave a loud, "Kia!" It's actually written Kia.
Oh, so
like the car dealership.
Like the NBA MVP.
Oh, so she bowed to Sensei Styles, gave a loud Kia, I'm guessing a Sportage.
To Giannis Antetokounmpo.
It's a Sportage or a Sorrento.
Well, to Nikola Jokic for 2 years.
That's right.
He's not going to get out of the first round, but, you know.
She bowed to Sensei Styles, gave a loud Ki, and began her form. She slowly moved her left hand up over her head. I want everyone listening right now. We're all going to...
All 3 of you.
We're all going to visualize this together, how she's handling it, and see if we can figure out how it works, or if it just feels like a flip book.
I just hope she forgets to disembowel herself.
You know, well, with a bow staff, it's kind of hard to. Yeah. You know what I mean? You can only get hit in the ribs or chest.
Yeah.
She slowly moved her left hand up over her head, grabbing the top of the staff, and swung it over her head, one-handed in a circle. Ooh, like a helicopter. She grabbed it in the middle with her right hand as it came around, chambered the staff behind her right side with both hands in the middle, and thrust it forward with the top of the staff striking forward and the bottom slapping under her right armpit. With a fierce look and a loud, "Kia!" Dude, you write it differently because that's how I'm pronouncing it. Yeah. Sorry. Holding the staff in the middle with only her right hand, she did several figure eights in front of her and even let the staff leave her hand mid-figure eight where it spun in the air and caught it with her left hand, continuing the figure eight motion with her left hand.
You know, like you do with a bow staff.
Yeah. She spun the staff over to her left side, spun it figure eight style behind her back while bending forward and handing it over to her right hand behind her back. She then spun around and performed several jabs and parrying moves before turning to her left and continuing on. Mark leaned over to Mike and whispered, "She's really good, huh?" Amidst the air-breaking noises from the staff and the woman's loud, "Kias!"
Wait, did she just break wind?
The air-breaking noises.
Yeah. She's so good at bow staffs, it makes fart noises.
Ferp. And the woman's loud Kias.
I thought Kia was a very sensible, environmentally friendly vehicle.
They're all loud. After completing the form, she returned to her ready stance position with her feet together, bow staff at her right side straight up and down with one end flat on the floor, and then she bowed to Sensei Styles. He mentioned a few things she needed to work on. It's pronounced Ki!
Yeah, stop. Kia! Geometro!
He mentioned a few things she needed to work on. They bowed to each other, and then Sensei Style yelled, "Let's line up!" All 4 students replied with a loud, "Yes, Sensei!" before running up to the front of the practice area, forming a straight line across the front of the room with a blonde woman at the far right. Your left.
Okay.
Yeah, as you're looking in. If his left, Sensei Styles' left.
Okay.
As the students and instructor performed their ritual bowing out ceremony to end the class, okay, Mike leaned into Mark and whispered, "The highest ranking student always stands where the blonde is, so she must outrank the other 3 black belts." Mark nodded his understanding as the students were dismissed by Sensei Styles and began talking amongst themselves. The blonde looked back at Mike several times. The students walked to their respective locker rooms and showers, and Mike said, "It looks like we are not going to be greeted. Let's go up and introduce ourselves." They walked up to the office, and Mark followed Mike's lead by bowing to the American flag above the office door as they entered. Sensei Styles sat behind his desk and said, "Yes," as they entered.
Like he's excited. Yes!
Mike said, "I'm Detective Michael Darts with the LAPD, and this is my partner, Detective Mark Anderson. Recently transferred from the NYPD.
So don't be too hard on him."
911, 911. Mike bowed, but Sensei Styles did not return it, and he didn't shake Mark's hand when he offered it. Sensei Styles reeked of arrogance.
Ooh, fucking nothing worse than an arrogant sensei.
You know? Isn't that the chapter title? I think it
Arrogant
is.
Sensei?
It's Suspicious Sensei.
Suspicious Sensei.
So he reeked of arrogance.
And suspiciousness.
Yeah, underlying. I think the suspicion comes later. They sat down. Sensei Styles smiled and said, "I see. The LAPD must be lacking in their hand-to-hand combat training, so you came to see me, I assume." "I see," and then "I assume" at the,
Now, we're pretty good at that brutality bit.
Yeah, no, we can go ahead and beat people up on our own.
We're fine.
Yeah, we got it. We have guns, Yeah. Enjoy your stick. Mike smiled back and said, "No, sorry. We are investigating the martial arts murders."
The martial arts murders?
Capital M-A-N.
Of the Hartford martial arts murders?
Dude, I love that every time he writes martial arts murders, they're all capitalized.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, of course.
It's branding.
Yeah. Sensei Styles interrupted and said, "The what?" Mike replied, "Oh, I'm sorry. The press gave them that name just recently. It's that string of murders where the killer breaks into the victims' homes even though the home has an elaborate security system. The killer then uses a weapon from the martial arts to murder the victims but steals nothing and leaves no traces. So I just went ahead and gave you sensitive case information."
All right, here's the thing. They were all talking so much shit about the media when they were at the body.
Yeah.
They're calling them vultures. But now, but all of a sudden, the media starts throwing out this snappy martial arts murders name. But now Michael Darts sees fit where it's good enough where I'm going to call it the martial arts murders. Now who's the fucking vulture? You're stealing from the media journalism's hard work.
Hey, man, Darts is only good at certain things. Yeah. "Oh, yes, of course," Sensei Styles replied with a look of recollection on his face as he continued. "Horrible, just horrible." After a slight pause, he added, "What does that have to do with me?"
He said as he stroked his 2-foot Dimebag Darrell Fu Manchu beard.
Big Trouble in Little China beard? Yeah. Mike responded, "Well, probably nothing. We're just going around to martial arts studios and interviewing instructors in hopes of scrounging up a few leads." "I see," Styles replied. "And for some reason you suspect me." There wasn't a question mark at the end of that. There was a period. Okay. Mark looked over at Mike, and he looked back just briefly before saying, "Not at all. It is apparent to us that just whoever the killer is, he or she is extremely proficient in the martial arts as well as the weapons of the martial arts." I think I went Chicago. We just want to discuss the matter with you and your students to obtain yours and their background information to see if maybe you or they can give us some leads on someone they might know who might be a potential suspect.
Because you know what I think of when I think of professional ninja assassin is they like to train in strip mall karate studios.
Yeah, dude.
around the greater Los Angeles County.
They can't wait for season 6 of
Hey, you ever
Cobra Kai.
check out that karate studio in Ventura? It's right next to the Thai place. Like, they got real murderers down there.
I don't suspect you or any of your students. I don't suspect you or any of your students, and I meant no disrespect. Sensei Styles nodded and said, well, I began the martial arts when I was in grade school. Here's my life story, apparently.
Yep.
I attained the rank of 6th degree black belt by the time I was midway through college. I ran into some money troubles, so I joined the Navy.
I would have gotten to that 7th degree, except 9/11 happened.
If it wasn't for you damn kids.
If my wife hadn't fucked up the alarm clock, we would still be married, and I'd have been a 7th degree.
But this is Sensei. This is Sensei Styles telling
Yeah, I
us.
know.
All right, okay.
I'm just saying everyone's backstory is 9/11.
Exactly. I want to clear it up for clear it up for the listeners. I ran into some money troubles, so I joined the Navy. I did some instructing there and became a Navy SEAL. I even entered Iraq, giggity, and lased targets.
I was involved in the great under siege battles of 1993.
I even entered Iraq and, quote, lased, end quote, targets for the Air Force during the first Iraq War.
No, that's the thing.
Lased?
Yeah, it's
It's a donut thing, right?
a laser donut. Yeah, you put a laser on the donut, and then the airstrike knows where to drop the chocolate frosting on it.
Exactly. I came back and finished college with a BS degree in business.
It was a BS degree.
Damn right, because business is, Opened up this dojo and have been instructing here ever since. I have no idea who could be responsible for these hideous murders, and none of my students do either. Mike said, do you mind if we interview the 4 black belts we saw during your last class? Sensei Styles looked irritated and said, yes, I mind. Now you 2 little bastards listen to me.
Wow.
Whoa. I am a patriot and I love my country. Mark broke in by putting his hand up while leaning forward and said, sir, or Sensei Styles. What? Oh. Sir or Sensei Styles, that's how he addresses him.
Really?
Sir or Sensei Styles, yeah.
All right.
We're not questioning your patriotism or your service of our country. We're simply, Sensei Styles repeated in a louder voice, I am a patriot and I love my country.
What is happening here?
This made Mark put his hand back down and lean back in his chair as Sensei Styles continued. I spent 20 years in the Navy and 15 years of that as a Navy SEAL.
That doesn't mean you couldn't murder. That probably means you could murder.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I was leading special clandestine operations into the deserts of Iraq to, again, laze targets for the Air Force back when you 2 were banging your first prom dates and fantasizing about screwing swimsuit and lingerie models.
I feel like, but like at the same time, like they're banging their prom dates, but fantasizing about someone else.
Hey, well,
Like what's the total time frame on this while he's defending our freedoms?
Mike and Mark were both dumbfounded by this man's temper as he continued. I did that for my country and its citizens. After teaching here for 6 years and bringing in all my years of discipline and respect to my students who are citizens of this country, you accuse me of breeding such an animal as this martial arts killer? If that is where you 2 pigs are going with this, then you can just get the fuck out of my dojo. Bro, served.
It's not very karate-like talk.
Mark's mouth was almost hanging to the floor, and Mike nodded a few times before he handed Mark his gun from his hip holster and his badge.
Wait, what?
Mark's mouth was almost hanging to the floor, and Mike nodded a few times before he handed Mark his gun from his hip holster
out his gun.
and his badge. Yeah, he gave him gun and badge.
Oh, God.
He replied, okay, look, we are trying to solve this case quickly before this person strikes again, so we don't have a lot of time to play around here.
But karate duel.
Yeah, we could get a warrant, but that is going to eat up this precious time that we don't want to waste, so I'll make it simple for you. We'll go out on your practice area and settle this like gentlemen. If I lose, we'll leave here and you'll never hear from us again. But if I win, my partner and I get to interview all 4 of the students from your last class and any other black belts from your dojo who is not here today. Deal? Let's do it, Styles
This
exclaimed.
feels like they're chasing a real thin lead, and he's already pulled out his gun.
He just wants to fight.
And he's like, it's fucking karate duel time, random strip mall sensei.
Random strip mall sensei. Let's do it, Styles exclaimed. I'll teach you a thing or two, and then stormed past Mike and Mark out onto the practice area.
Also, that guy's way too pissed. He's so mad.
Because someone, apparently he thinks someone was accusing him of lack of patriotism, even though...
I mean...
we're just talking about murders.
Yeah,
just talking about the murders. Just talking about the murders, Mark looked at Mike with concern, saying, what do you think you're doing? Mike replied, We don't have time to dick around here. Plus, this guy needs to be taught a lesson. Mark said, well, just make sure this guy doesn't knock you on your ass. Well,
is there somewhere you want me to put your gun while we're just like letting your gun lay around?
Should I just hold it, or you want me to put it there by the bow staff? Or I don't want to see you get carried out of here on a stretcher. I mean, this guy is a Navy SEAL, for Christ's sake. I won't, Mike responded as he stood up and walked out of the office onto the practice floor. Sensei Styles didn't even wait for Mike to face him or ready himself. He just ran in and threw a punch, but Mike was fast enough to do a quick downward circle block and counter with a punch of his own. So that Styles, his own, this is going to be fun. The action scenes they're difficult. He just ran in and threw a punch, but Mike was fast enough to do a quick downward circle block and counter with a punch of his own that Styles pushed to the side with his other hand. Styles hit Mike in the face with a backhand, which was just a quick reflex reaction after having his punch blocked. Mike threw an outer crescent kick across Styles' face and sent him to the floor. Outer crescent kick! Hey, activate! This commotion sent the three men and the blonde woman out of their respective dressing rooms wearing shorts and T-shirts, and they looked
probably
to advance toward Mike.
Like Larry Bird shorts.
Yeah, shorts. Mark stepped in between Mike and the students, flashed his badge, and said, LAPD, this is a police matter, and just stay out of it, please.
This is a government-approved karate duel.
The students relaxed their posture and stepped back to the wall to continue to watch. Oh, man, look at all this fight. There's pages of fight. Styles performed a kick-up. What is that?
Like where you
it's like a hiccup, but
like where you where you flip your
legs
right.
Yeah. Okay. Styles. I'm glad that you are
my extensive. I got a purple belt when I was like 13 years old, and all of that knowledge is coming into play now.
I got a yellow belt, but it was from Marshall's. So
they have a good karate program at Marshall's.
They do. Styles performed a kick up and threw a punch immediately after landing on his feet, which Mike blocked with an X block. Okay. Oh yeah. Done by putting his knee and elbow together from the same side to make an X shape. Good Lord. Styles threw three more punches, which Mike blocked while backing up with an open hand rising block and two hand push blocks with alternating hands. Styles jumped in the air and threw a jump spin crescent kick. Mike ducked simultaneously, executing a 360-degree spinning foot sweep that caught Styles as he landed, sending him to the floor.
Okay, I'm just picturing Sensei Styles now, played by Ryan Styles.
Yeah.
He's like a 6'7" sensei who like improvs, and then at some point there's going to be a run-in by Wayne Brady.
Mike threw a roundhouse kick on the floor, but Styles caught his foot and turned Mike's ankle and leg, causing Mike to roll over on his stomach. Styles stood up and bent Mike's leg at the knee, which is where it normally bends, trying to force it past the joint. Oh, I see. But Mike swung his other leg up and rolled over at the same time, breaking Styles' hold and kicking him with the opposite leg at the same time. Mike did a kick up of his own and bounced around a bit while shrugging his shoulders like a prize fighter trying to stay limber. Styles ran over and grabbed the blonde's bow staff, turned to Mike with the look of a madman on his face and said, "Now I'll teach you!" Mike replied, "Don't do it!"
Wow. Don't do it. We're not doing hoedown. We don't have time. Drew Carey, get the fuck out of here.
Of course, Styles didn't listen. He swung the staff at Mike's head, level from his right to left, slapping the staff under his left armpit, but Mike ducked. Styles just swung it right back across the same plane in the opposite direction as Mike started to bring his head back up. He was fast enough to duck back down again and maintain his fighting stance. Mike circled around, and Styles began to advance slowly, twirling the staff with figure eights. He stopped the twirling and grabbed the staff on about the third of each end. You know?
Yeah,
And ran at Mike, thrusting the center of the staff at his head. Mike caught the thrust with both hands. Rolled back on his back, sending Styles up and over Mike, landing on his back. Mike rolled up on one knee, had control of the staff now, and spun it around over his head in a broad circle as he went up to his knee, catching Styles across the face as he tried to get up to recover himself. The blow forced Styles back down onto his back again. Mike, still on one knee, continued the same circular swing around his head. Again, and with Styles still on his back, Mike stopped the swing with the end of the staff no more than an inch from Styles' throat. Styles froze with a look of a whipped dog on his face. A whipped dog.
A whipped dog.
That's the hot dog you get at Dairy Queen.
Ew.
The whipped dog? Enough, Mike asked. Enough, Mike asked. There's no question mark.
All right. Here's how this fight should have ended. He fucking whips the dog, and then he says, "More like SEAL Team sucks." There it is.
It didn't even go all the way through. I was like,
That was good enough.
Stiles just nodded. Mike moved the staff away from Stiles' throat, and both men stood up. The students looked on with stunned faces. The blonde, however, looked at Mike with desire in her eyes.
Uh-oh. Is that a bow staff in your hand, or are you just a 6th-degree black belt?
Or do we need some towels outside the spa?
Oh, God.
Stiles limped back to his office and shut the door. Okay. Puss. Saput. 15 years of Navy SEAL. Sapus.
Colin Mockery followed him in.
Mark interviewed the blonde-haired woman, and Mike took the men. Yeah, he did. As Mike interviewed the men, he saw the blonde look at him as she finished up talking to Mark, and she took back her bow staff, picked up her gym bag, bowed toward the American flag as she started to walk out the door, and sent one more look of desire toward Mike.
Fucking, I hate looks of desire.
You know? The last of Mike's 3 interviews started to leave, but Mike stopped him and said, "Oh, just one more question. Are you a ninja?"
Get out of this strip mall.
No. What? Just one more question. What kind of car does Sensei Steve drive? Sensei Steve? Sensei Stiles?
Does it say Sensei Steve?
No, that was me.
Okay.
That was. I don't know why I went to Steve.
How dare you?
I mean, a lot of the letters in the name of Stiles and Steve are the same, so I could have just. Yeah, that's just me. Dude, it's the fight sequence that it threw me off because it was just a run-on sentence.
It's a lot of stuff.
A run-on sentence that took up an entire page. Whew.
You know.
What kind of car does Sensei Stiles drive? The man who was in his 30s with the pair of size responded, "It's a black." I love that. That's his credit. You know, that's his man with size.
Man with size.
"It's a black SUV parked in the parking lot around the corner." "Thank you," Mike said. "You've been very helpful." "Sure," the man responded.
Sure.
As he walked away and left.
Never to get a name.
Yeah, never be named. After getting their socks and shoes on, Mark handed Mike his gun and badge, and the two left, making sure to bow toward the American flag as they left.
Because they're patriots.
Because they're so patriotic. As they walked to the car, the blonde woman was standing outside, leaning against the wall of the dojo. She sprang forward toward Mike, grabbing his hand and shook it and said, "Hi, I'm Stacy Turner." And it is the girl from the
Stacy.
end. "Hi, I'm Stacy Turner. And you are?" Mike smiled, even though he knew he should have remained stone-faced. He responded, "Mike Darts, Detective Michael Darts with the LAPD. And I know you already met my partner, Detective Mark Anderson." Stacy smiled and said, "Yes, he's nice," looking at Mark briefly. Then to Mike she said, "I'm not usually this forward, but here's my home number."
It's right next to a day spa.
She handed him a folded piece of paper and added, "Give me a call if you want to go out this weekend or something."
Wow.
Dude.
Police business turns to police pleasure.
But that's what karate dojos teach you. They teach you confidence in all situations, right?
Strike while the bow staff is hot.
Damn right. Stacy didn't seem Mark stepped in, gently pushed Stacy back, stepped between the two and said, "Look, ma'am, this is a murder investigation, so I'm asking my partner out isn't really proper." What? So asking my partner out isn't really proper. There it is. Stacy didn't seem concerned. She just continued looking at Mike. He unfolded the piece of paper. It read in neat handwriting, "Please call me." And then there was a phone number, and then Stacy with a big heart drawn below her name. So she's 15.
Well, she's 5'3" and she's petite.
5'3" petite.
But she has big boobs.
Oh, they haven't established.
I don't think they've established. But
they said very attractive.
There's a pattern.
He said very attractive
of petite, tiny girls with big tits.
I mean, I guess we did learn that in the first read with the last couple of pages that she had. But he was like
metallic gloss lipstick.
Metallic gloss lipstick. He was eating the drawstrings of her bikini with his teeth.
Yeah,
that's right. Mike quickly put the piece of paper in his pocket before Mark could see, even though he was sending Stacy on her way. Mike saw Stacy get into a dark blue luxury sedan and was shocked that a woman in her 20s could afford such an expensive car. He did not bother to pay too much attention to this, though, as he and Mark got into his car. Mike drove around the corner and parked across the street from the parking lot that the student mentioned, and he spotted Stiles' car. He picked up the microphone of the police radio the LAPD installed in his car for him.
"We're going to listen for nunchucks in the car."
And said, "Dispatch, this is Detective Darts. Pew, pew." I want to do that every time he calls himself Detective Darts.
Sure.
Or what's... Is Is that a dart landing on a dartboard sound?
Yeah, if you're terrible at it. I don't think I've ever played darts and heard a boing noise.
What a thunk.
Maybe I'm playing darts wrong.
This
Probably
is Detective Darts. Shoomp. I need you to run a license plate for me, please. It's California plate Delta Echo Charlie 866. Mark said as they waited, "So this is the kind of reception you've gotten when visiting these karate studios?" "No way," Mike said. "This is the first time this happened. All the other schools I've been to were run by instructors who are more than happy to help. This guy was so full of himself and so high-strung that he doesn't know what being a sensei is all about."
We still had to do lots of karate duels, though.
Mark said while touching Mike's cheek, "What? Why are you touching his cheek?" Hold on. That's my pause. Mark said while touching Mike's cheek. Why is he touching his cheek?
I don't know. Maybe he's checking for bow staff bruises.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Speaking of Sensei Styles, are you going to be okay? It looks like you've got a nasty bruise developing there.
Oh, now who's the smart guy?
And how is your knee?
Now who's the purple belt here?
And how is your knee? He's not touching his knee, though.
Yeah.
"I'll be fine," Mike responded. "I tend to heal quickly. My knee is a little sore, though, but it should be fine after I have a chance to walk it off." Tough guy.
Yeah.
Darts is such a tough guy. The police radio made a quiet beep, beep, and then a voice came over the speaker, and then a female voice came over the speaker. "It's an SUV registered to a David Stevens Styles." So I was right. It was Sensei Steve.
Jesus, that actually
Look at
worked
me.
out. That made you look smarter than you meant to be.
Pulled it out.
Yeah.
"There's no outstanding tickets or warrants." Mike replied, "Okay, thanks, Jill."
Steven Styles would be like how I would go by.
Wait, wasn't he in Crosby, Stills, and Nash?
Steven Stills.
Yeah, but
He was still probably called.
I know.
They probably
Also-
still called him Sensei in the
also
band.
still funny, you know.
Sensei Stills.
All right, thanks, Jill. By the way, the guy with the size didn't get a name,
Yeah.
but dispatch is Jill.
Yeah.
So just so they're probably going to talk to Jill more, I would
Yeah,
imagine, because
yeah.
there's more.
I would
murders
assume
happening.
so.
Yeah. I get it. Coming to the end of chapter 4 here.
Hey, son guy.
The voice came back. "No problem, Mike. See you around." Mike said to Mark, "Well, it was a thought." Mark replied, "What are you thinking?" Mike said, "Well, the guy definitely has the temper for the brutality of the murders, and as you saw, he definitely has the skill. I think we should give him a couple days, not a couple of days, a couple days to cool down, and then we'll come back and talk to him some more. He should be willing to cooperate since I spared his life in there."
Yeah, no, I was going to murder a guy in a strip mall.
Yeah. "Hey, speaking of that," Mark began, "where and how did you get tough enough to beat up a Navy SEAL with a 6-degree black belt? And where did you learn those fancy moves?" Mike grinned and said, "It's a long story." Well, we're in chapter 4, Mike. Yeah, okay.
Mark.
Oh, good. Here we go. Don't worry. Mark said, "It's a long ride back to the station. Besides, I told you my story. Now I think it's your turn. I showed you mine."
I was going to get that 7th degree black belt, but 9/11 happened.
Mike said, "You're right. Fair enough." As Mike pulled away from the curb,
Freeze frame.
with jumping in the air. As Mike pulled away from the curb and turned left at the intersection to start heading back, he began telling Mark about his martial arts background.
That's chapters 3 and 4.
Chapters 3 and 4. I'm looking forward to, and I'm saying this in full sarcasm, I'm really looking forward to more fight scene descriptions.
It's hard. It's hard to write. Like, I was reading a different book recently, and it was Altered Carbon, which is really good, but it has fight scenes, and I just, like, zone out.
Yeah,
Just glazed like a cop's donut.
just like you glazed them targets in Iraq.
No, that was lazed.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. That I
I
know that
wavy?
I know that because it's a plot point in the Pauly Shore Andy Dick movie In the Army Now.
That's right.
Where they have to hold the laser on the target and they keep getting knocked over or whatever's happening, and Andy Dick's probably shooting heroin. And
I was literally having a conversation with someone yesterday about that movie In the Army Now.
So that's what he's doing because he's a patriot.
My favorite line from that movie: "Seen a lot of camel toe in my day, but none on a camel." Yeah.
My favorite part is just Andy Dick getting mirage crazy and running nude into the dunes.
Yeah.
Which is like something he probably has done.
They accidentally were rolling when that happened.
He
just walked onto set and was like, grabbed a bunch of people's dicks and then,
just ran off into the fake oasis.
Into the abyss. And David Allen Greer? Yeah, it's a great movie.
Yeah.
But look at us getting off track because we've got some martial arts murders that we got to solve
Yeah.
here. I mean, we know that Stacy and Mike get it on at the end.
Yeah. Spoiler alert.
So the filler in between, that's where all the mystery is involved.
All the sexy mystery.
All the sexy mystery.
You know, I've never been as hot, just fucking aroused, as when someone came into my karate class and beat the shit out of my sensei, just kicked his ass, and then I stole my bow staff, and I don't know where they left the gun. The gun is somewhere.
No. Mark gave Mike the gun and badge back.
But was he just?
He was holding them. Yeah, he was just holding. Yeah,
he's just holding them like the kids come out and he's like, "Hold up, this is police business. I'm holding this man's gun."
Yeah, he's just holding them like awkwardly above his chest, in front of his chest, one of his chests, one of his multiple,
one of
chests,
his 5 chests,
one of his many chests. All right.
Sensei Styles, not a great guy.
It's Crosby, Stiles, and Nash.
Is he a murderer, though?
Crosby, Stiles, Nash, and Young.
We'll find out in future episodes of Karate Tolstoy. If you want to read Andy Shep's masterpiece, The Martial Arts Murders, you can find it in physical book form online, Amazon, bn.com. And if you think you can write a better book, fucking do it. See you later.
Kia!